Have you ever wondered why some people with the highest IQ struggle in life, while others with average intelligence soar to incredible success? Today, we are unlocking the secret behind that mystery. Welcome to the Book Summaries channel. We are diving deep into Daniel Goleman's groundbreaking work, Emotional Intelligence, a book that redefined what it means to be smart and showed us that our emotions are just as important as our intellect. Daniel Goleman starts by explaining that our emotions are essentially biological impulses for action, evolved over millions of years to help us survive. Each emotion, from anger to fear, triggers a specific physiological response tailored to a life or death situation. For example, fear sends blood to the large skeletal muscles to help us flee, while anger rushes blood to the hands to help us strike. However, our modern environment has changed much faster than our biology. We still possess an emotional brain that often reacts to a social slight as if it were a physical threat. This can lead to emotional hijackings, where the primitive brain takes over before the rational brain can process the situation. Understanding this evolutionary baggage is the first step toward self-mastery. We must realize that while our feelings are valid, they are often based on ancient survival mechanisms. Goleman argues that balancing the heart and the head is vital for a functional life. By acknowledging these impulses, we can learn to bridge the gap between reaction and action. This chapter explores the physical structure of the brain, focusing on the amygdala and the neocortex. The amygdala acts as an emotional sentinel, scanning every experience for potential danger. When it senses a threat, it can trigger an immediate emergency response that bypasses the thinking brain. This is what Goleman calls an emotional hijacking. During these moments, the neocortex, the seat of rational thought, is temporarily incapacitated by a flood of neural signals. People often do or say things they later regret because their rational mind was literally locked out of the conversation. Goleman highlights that the speed of the amygdala is its greatest asset for survival, but its greatest liability in modern social settings. Learning to recognize the physical signs of a hijacking is crucial for emotional intelligence. If we can pause for just a few seconds, we allow the prefrontal cortex to regain control and evaluate the situation logically. Mastery over these hijackings determines our ability to maintain relationships and make sound decisions. It is the literal foundation of self-regulation. Goleman challenges the traditional view that IQ is the sole predictor of success in life. He argues that academic intelligence offers little preparation for the emotional turmoil or opportunities that life presents. Emotional intelligence, or EQ, consists of 5 key pillars: self-awareness, managing emotions, motivating oneself, empathy, and handling relationships. Many high IQ individuals fail because they lack these essential social and emotional skills. EQ allows us to navigate the complexities of the workplace, family life, and social circles. It explains why a brilliant scientist might fail as a manager while someone with average technical skills leads a team effectively. Goleman stresses that IQ is largely fixed by genetics, but EQ is a set of skills that can be learned and improved throughout life. This makes emotional intelligence a more empowering and democratic form of intelligence. Being smart in life requires much more than a high score on a standardized test. It requires an understanding of the human heart. Self-awareness is the cornerstone of emotional intelligence. It is the ability to monitor our feelings from moment to moment as they occur. Without recognizing our emotions, we are at their mercy, often acting on impulses without knowing why. Goleman describes self-awareness as a neutral mode that maintains self-reflectiveness even in the midst of turbulent emotions. It is the difference between being consumed by rage and being able to say, "I am feeling angry right now." This small mental shift provides a sense of autonomy and freedom of choice. Self-awareness also extends to our gut feelings, which are often accurate summaries of our past experiences. People who are in touch with their inner states make better decisions regarding their careers and relationships. They understand their strengths and weaknesses without being clouded by denial. Developing this inner witness allows us to stay grounded and focused. It is the prerequisite for any meaningful personal growth or change. Managing emotions is not about suppressing feelings, but about ensuring that every emotion is proportionate to the situation. Goleman discusses the importance of self-regulation, especially when dealing with negative states like anger, anxiety, and sadness. Anger is particularly dangerous because it builds on itself. An initial spark can lead to a firestorm of rage if we continue to ruminate on the cause. The key to cooling anger is to reframe the situation or to seek a distraction that breaks the cycle of thought. Anxiety is another common challenge, where a worry loop prevents us from thinking clearly. By consciously noticing when we are worrying, we can intervene and ask if there is a practical solution. Goleman also addresses sadness, noting that while it is healthy to grieve, chronic rumination can lead to clinical depression. Successful people are those who can bounce back from setbacks and maintain a positive outlook. This emotional resilience is a skill that can be cultivated through practice. It allows us to experience the full range of human passion without becoming its slave. Goleman identifies motivation as the master aptitude that determines how well we use our other mental abilities. Emotions like hope and optimism are not just feel-good states. They are powerful drivers of success. People with high EQ can delay gratification and stifle impulsiveness to achieve long-term goals. This is famously illustrated by the marshmallow test, where children who resisted an immediate treat showed better life outcomes years later. Motivation also involves entering the state of flow, where one is so immersed in a task that self-consciousness and time disappear. Flow is the ultimate expression of emotional intelligence, representing the harnessing of emotions in the service of performance. When we are motivated by passion rather than fear, we perform at our peak. Optimism acts as a buffer against defeat, allowing us to see failures as temporary setbacks rather than permanent flaws. This persistence is often what separates high achievers from those who give up. It is the internal engine that keeps us moving toward our destiny. Empathy is the ability to know how another person feels without them telling you. It is built on the foundation of self-awareness. The more open we are to our own emotions, the more skilled we will be in reading others. Goleman explains that empathy is largely nonverbal, communicated through tone of voice, facial expressions, and gestures. Those who are tone-deaf to these signals often struggle in their social and professional lives. Empathy begins in infancy through attunement, the process where parents mirror and respond to their child's feelings. When this attunement is missing, children may grow up with a diminished capacity for emotional connection. Empathy is also the moral root of altruism and compassion. By feeling the distress of another, we are moved to help them. In the professional world, empathy is essential for effective leadership and teamwork. It allows us to build trust and navigate social nuances with ease. It is the social glue that holds humanity together. Handling relationships is the outward manifestation of emotional intelligence. It involves the skill of managing the emotions of others, which is the basis of social competence. Goleman calls this social art, and it includes leadership, influence, and conflict resolution. We are constantly sending emotional signals that influence those around us, a phenomenon known as emotional contagion. A person with high social EQ can walk into a room and shift the mood from tense to relaxed. Effective social skills require the ability to balance our own needs with the needs of the group. This chapter also discusses social chameleons, people who are so good at reading others that they lose their own identity. True social mastery, however, is about being authentic while still being sensitive to others. It involves active listening and the ability to find common ground in difficult situations. These skills are essential for anyone who wants to lead or inspire. They are the tools we use to build a meaningful social life. Goleman applies the principles of emotional intelligence to marriage and long-term relationships. He explains that men and women are often raised in different emotional worlds, which can lead to profound misunderstandings. Men are frequently taught to minimize their feelings, while women are encouraged to express them. This often results in a demand-withdraw pattern, where one partner seeks emotional engagement and the other retreats. Over time, this can lead to flooding, where a partner becomes so overwhelmed by emotion that they shut down entirely. To prevent this, Goleman suggests that couples must learn to argue without attacking the other's character. Healthy relationships involve validation, where each person acknowledges the other's feelings, even if they disagree. It is important to catch negative thoughts before they spiral into contempt or defensiveness. By applying EQ to our private lives, we can turn conflict into an opportunity for growth. Intimacy requires the constant practice of self-regulation and empathy. In the workplace, emotional intelligence is often more important than technical expertise. Goleman notes that the emotional climate of an organization is set by its leaders. Leaders who use empathy and clear communication foster an environment of trust and high performance. In contrast, those who rely on intimidation or criticism create a culture of fear and low productivity. The ability to give and receive feedback is a crucial emotional skill. Constructive criticism should be specific and focus on behavior, rather than being a personal attack. This chapter also explores the power of diversity and how EQ helps teams navigate different perspectives. In a modern economy, where teamwork is essential, the social arts are the primary drivers of innovation. Managers who manage with heart are better at retaining talent and achieving long-term success. They understand that their employees are emotional beings, not just cogs in a machine. EQ is the competitive advantage in the 21st century workplace. The link between our emotions and our physical health is profound. Goleman cites numerous studies showing that chronic stress, anger, and depression can weaken the immune system and increase the risk of disease. When we are under constant emotional pressure, our bodies produce cortisol, which can damage our cardiovascular health over time. Conversely, positive emotions like hope and social support can speed up recovery from surgery and illness. Emotional intelligence can be a form of preventative medicine. By learning to manage our stress and build supportive relationships, we are literally protecting our bodies. Goleman argues that the medical community should pay more attention to the emotional needs of patients. Treating the whole person means addressing the heart as well as the body. This chapter highlights that our mental state is not separate from our physical existence. Happiness and emotional stability are essential components of a long and healthy life. We must care for our minds to care for our bodies. The family is our first school for emotional learning. It is within the home that we learn how to feel about ourselves and how others will react to our feelings. Goleman discusses 3 common types of inept parenting: ignoring feelings entirely, being too laissez-faire, and being contemptuous or harsh. These styles can leave children emotionally handicapped, struggling to understand or regulate their own emotions. In contrast, emotional coaching, parents take their child's feelings seriously and use them as an opportunity for teaching. They help their children label their emotions and find healthy ways to cope with them. This creates a foundation of emotional security that lasts a lifetime. The lessons learned in childhood are deeply ingrained, but they are not impossible to change. However, it is much easier to build strong children than to fix broken adults. Goleman emphasizes that parents are the primary teachers of emotional intelligence. The home is where the giant of EQ is first awakened. Goleman explores the lasting impact of trauma on the brain and how it can lead to PTSD. Trauma causes the amygdala to become hyperreactive, seeing danger in situations that are actually safe. This creates an emotional scar that can haunt a person for years. However, the brain's neuroplasticity offers hope for healing. Through therapy and mindful practice, people can relearn emotional responses and retrain their nervous system. The process involves gradually exposing oneself to the source of fear in a controlled environment while staying grounded in the present. This helps to disengage the amygdala's emergency response and allows the neocortex to reassert control. Goleman stresses that healing is an emotional process, not just a logical one. It requires patience, support, and the cultivation of self-compassion. Even deep-seated emotional patterns can be shifted over time. The brain is remarkably resilient and capable of finding balance after a crisis. Recovery is a journey of emotional education. While we are all born with a certain biological temperament, Goleman argues that it does not dictate our ultimate fate. Some people are naturally more anxious or outgoing from birth due to their neural wiring. However, the brain is shaped by experience throughout our lives. This means that a shy child can learn to be more confident, and an impulsive child can learn self-control. The emotional lessons we practice actually change the physical structure of our brains. Goleman emphasizes that biology is only the starting point. Emotional intelligence provides us with the tools to work with our temperament and overcome our innate limitations. We are not stuck with the personality we were born with. By consciously practicing new emotional habits, we can rewrite our neural pathways. This is the ultimate promise of emotional intelligence, the power to change who we are. Our character is a work in progress, shaped by our daily choices. We are the masters of our emotional destiny. Goleman warns of the rising tide of emotional illiteracy in society, which manifests as increased rates of depression, violence, and drug abuse. When people lack the skills to handle their emotions, they often turn to self-destructive behaviors to cope with their pain. Schools often focus exclusively on academic subjects, ignoring the emotional development of their students. This neglect leads to a generation of young people who are intellectually capable but emotionally lost. Goleman points to the correlation between low EQ and various social problems, including bullying and teen pregnancy. He argues that teaching emotional intelligence is a social necessity, not a luxury. If we want a safer and more compassionate world, we must prioritize emotional education. The cost of failing to do so is seen in our crumbling social fabric and increasing mental health crises. We must teach our children how to be human as well as how to be workers. Emotional literacy is the key to a healthy society. The book concludes with a call for social and emotional learning, SEL, programs in schools. Goleman describes successful programs where children are taught how to manage their anger, resolve conflicts, and practice empathy. These programs have been shown to improve not only emotional well-being, but also academic performance. When students feel emotionally safe and supported, they are better able to concentrate and learn. SEL teaches children how to recognize the physical signs of stress and how to use breathing and visualization to calm down. It also helps them develop the social skills needed to build positive relationships with their peers. Goleman envisions a future where emotional intelligence is part of the standard curriculum, just like math or reading. This would equip future generations with the tools they need to thrive in an increasingly complex world. Education should be about the whole person, mind and heart. By schooling the emotions, we give children the best possible chance at a successful life. It is the final step in awakening the giant within.